Welcome to Winter Yin Yoga practice. This is a practice for the winter solstice, and I'm really happy to have you here with me today. So we're going to begin practice coming into a seated meditation. So just taking the legs into Sukhasana or just into any comfortable position where the spine can be nice and tall and long and the shoulders can relax. The sides of the neck are nice and long. And if you feel comfortable, just allow the eyes to close down. If you prefer to keep them open, then please just have them focused on one spot, just so you can really draw your gaze in towards yourself and just soften the gaze and just becoming aware of the breath. And you might want to take a nice big breath in through your nose and expanding out through the belly into the rib cage. And as you exhale, exhaling the breath out through the nose. And just beginning to really settle yourself in for a few minutes. Just awareness on the breath. So slowly just beginning to ease the legs out now and coming into windshield wipers just to help to release the hips after being seated for a while. And then we're going to take ourselves into butterfly pose or a Baddha Konasana. The feet are a little further away from the groin than what they would be is in a sort of more traditional Baddha Konasana. And you might want to use some blocks underneath the hips or the knees just to help soften any sort of stress around the knee joint and also help to release the inner groins. You might also notice that you want to sit on a block or a blanket just to elevate the hips, especially if forward folding is quite challenging for you because of the position of your pelvis and maybe tightness around the lower back. Just really using what you need for your practice today. And again, allowing the whole of the body to just settle. When we come into any sort of forward folds, like butterfly, anywhere where we're sort of stimulating the lower back, or actually start to stimulate the kidney and the urinary bladder meridians in the body. And these really help to govern our vitality and our resilience and our capacity to really come into deep rest. And you might feel that across the back of the body. So just becoming aware of sensation, but not judging what is coming up. We're moving really more into that Samkhya philosophy of where we learn about the duality of Purusha, which is consciousness, and Prakriti, which is matter or the material world, but also involves our mind. It is the ever-changing nature of our thoughts and sensations, recognizing that they are in a state of constant change. So just within this practice today, just allowing yourself to take on that unchanging observer. So just you're observing the body, noticing sensation, but noticing without judgment. And slowly again, just beginning to ease your way up and taking a little bit longer now as you move through windshield wipers. Again, just easing the hips out. And then we're going to start to make our way into Anahastasana, or melting heart pose. So coming onto the knees and beginning to walk the upper body forward, the arms forward, and melting the heart down. You can bend the elbows and rest the forehead on the forearms. There's lots of different ways that you can help to support your body in this particular shape. You could use a bolster or some pillows underneath the upper body. Also underneath the knees as well, taking any of the pressure from the floor off the knees. And you might even find that it's just a little easier to turn your head to the side, and that's absolutely fine, remembering that it's your version of melting hearts, your version of Anahastasana. And it is really a heart opener. It also opens up through the shoulders and the chest and helps us begin to soften a little bit behind the thoracic part of the spine, at the thoracic, just behind the heart. Anytime the mind starts to take you off on a story. Just keep pulling yourself back to the breath. And just considering yourself as the observer as you move into each shape and you begin to watch the practice unfold. And letting go of all attachment to how things should feel or look. There is no should, there just is. And from here, just coming forward now to rest on your belly. Bring the arms by your side so you can let the shoulder heads drop forward. And breathe deep into the belly, letting the breath expand across the lower back. Allowing the body to be fully weighted. And you can feel the support of the floor beneath you. And now we're just going to ease our way back and find ourselves coming into dragon pose on the right side. And you can keep the hands on the floor or place the hands on some blocks. You could use blankets underneath the left knee. You could even place a bolster in front of that left front hip, just so it feels like the pelvis is somewhere to rest and relax upon. Remembering that there's always options to make the practice perfect for you, supporting the body as much as you need. But also keeping in mind, we want to feel sensations, so the sensations will arise as the fascial tissue begins to relax. You begin to relax as opposed to holding or gripping, and it can be quite easy to do that in this shape, so we really want to support the body as much as we can in order for us to really settle into this shape. If at any time it becomes very uncomfortable, then just ease yourself. You pull your hips back and come into almost like a dragon split, if you like, as the hips pull back. Remember that you don't have to stay the full length of time. You can always ease yourself into child's pose. And just remembering that we're really using this practice to create a container of stillness and balance. And it really invites in the energetics of that winter solstice. It invites us to go inwards for introspection. It is a deep invitation for deep rest and renewal. just going to start to pull the hips back and come into that dragon split just briefly before we find our way into child's pose. You can bring the knees together and just letting the forehead rest down on the floor on a pillow. And again, just letting the body be supported by the floor, so there's a deep sense of weight to the body, almost as if you can feel the very bones of you fall heavy as you relax. And now we're just going to make our way into dragon pose on the left side, again using whatever supports you need for your body. Letting the jaw and the face soften. You might have to wiggle the jaw a little bit just to release the face off and release and soften around the jaw. Especially the dragon pose can really sort of ignite that sense of gripping and holding. So again, we're really trying not to do that. That's the only thing we're really sort of aware of, is where am I holding, where am I gripping, how can I direct the breath in order to let go, in order to release, in order to find some space. And it might be a deep sigh out of the mouth, and taking as many deep sighs. It might be a big yawn. And again, beginning to ease the hips back, taking a very short dragon split before finding yourself back into child's pose. And You might want to take the knees a little wider here in this child's pose version. And again, support underneath the head with the forearms. Let the pelvis be nice and heavy as the body drops. We're going to come now into caterpillar pose, so taking your legs in front of you, again supporting underneath the hips if you need to, behind the knees, whatever support you need for the body, and then just gently begin to fold forward. And in caterpillar pose, we are actually allowing the spine to round. We're tuning into this sort of gentle activation along the whole back of the body, and we most probably, you might even notice that you really feel this in almost sort of up towards the neck and towards the whole sort of front of the face, just around the eyebrow line. You might even notice even more so around the hamstrings. This is this whole sort of superficial back line of the body that we are stretching essentially in order to help release that fascial tissue, in order to help energy coherently run through the body. We'll slowly ease our way up as we come to lie down on the back. What can feel quite nice when we lie down here can just be coming into some active, elevated sort of hip lifts or Setu Bandhasana. So placing the soles of the feet to the floor, lifting the hips up and exhaling them down. Just maybe do that a few times before you come into this twist or twisted roots on the right side. Now remembering any time we come into these twists, if the shoulders or that left shoulder, for example, here, if it's off the floor, then place some blocks or a pillow in between the thighs. And this just helps to sort of take you out of the depth of the twist a little bit so that the shoulder can relax and release down. And it can feel much nicer for the shoulder, much nicer around the chest area, but also less of a pull on that lower back. So just be very mindful of that. But again, once you're there, just allowing the body to become very heavy, very weighted, so that you can feel as the breath, as you sort of draw your awareness in towards the breath almost becomes even more subtle, almost to the point where you can't really even detect the inhale and the exhale. It's almost as if the body begins to breathe itself. The breath breathe in the body. Beginning to ease yourself back out again. And again, remembering that you can come into those hip lifts. So just placing the feet to the floor and just gently starting to elevate the hips on the inhale, exhale to release the hips down. Do that a few times before coming into twisted roots on the left side this time. So taking the hips slightly to the right, as the knees fall to the left. And again, using supports as you need. We're just going to slowly come into knee circles now. So just hug the knees close to the body and then gently rock on the spine a moment before taking the hands to the knees, straighten the elbows and just gently start to circle the knees around to the right. And what you'll feel is this lovely massage around the sacrum. So once you've done that a few times to the right, begin to go anti-clockwise, so circling the knees round to the left. And just do that for as long as you need to, just to help ease out the lower back. And then begin to get yourself nice and comfortable. Maybe cover yourself over with a blanket as you come into Shavasana. So this is where we really start to integrate our practice deep into the body. It's really important at the end of practice to come into Shavasana position and just come into this deep, again, sense of rest in the body. We're just allowing everything that we have done to really integrate. And now we can release the breath and the jaw. Or you might want to peel the tongue off the roof of the mouth and let the tongue settle behind the teeth, the bottom teeth. And taking the legs just as wide as the hips, the arms a little bit away from the body, or maybe even resting the hands on your belly. And then beginning to shift your attention all the way down to the soles of your feet. And just paying attention, placing your awareness on the soles of your feet. And then up and into the ankles, beginning to circle your awareness around the ankles and into the knees. Notice any tension points you're holding, and you might want to squeeze those tension points, and then as you exhale, release them. Awareness now shifts up into the hips and deep into the pelvis, deep into the belly. You can feel the whole of the lower back begin to settle as the buttocks relax and release. You can feel the whole of the spine just begin to soften. The muscles on either side of the spine relaxing deeply. And shift your awareness to the shoulders, just feeling the shoulders become broad across the mat. The arms become heavy. The back of the neck relaxed. You can feel the crown of the head, and then you can feel the weight of the skull. The whole of the scalp becoming soft as awareness now begins to shift into the space between your eyebrows, softening the eyes, the cheeks, the lips, the tongue, the jaw, the throat. You can even feel the ears pull back slightly towards your hairline as your face begins to relax. And then the whole body relaxes as the breath just breathes the body, and the breath becomes like a wave. The inhale rising up through the body, and the exhale washing down and releasing anything you don't need. And you can stay here in this shape and just deeply relax. Thank you for practicing with me. Namaste.